Hey everyone, Nico here, and today we're tackling a common Gunpla dilemma, the inner frame. It's there, it holds everything together, but let's be honest, it can look a little unfinished. But what if we could give it some pop, a little something to make it stand out and add some extra detail? That's where metallic hand painting comes in. It's a simple technique that can take your inner frame from basic to beautiful. I'll be showing you how to choose the right paints and how to apply them smoothly. By the end, your Gunpla's inner frame will be looking sharp and adding a whole new dimension to your model. No crazy dramatic makeovers here, just a cool way to elevate your model and make those pistons and joints really shine. So let's get started. So in this video, we'll be using Army Painter Warpaints Fanatic metallic paints. These are specifically meant for brush painting. So hand painting metallic paints requires a little bit of a different approach compared to hand painting regular acrylic paints, but generally the basics are the same. We'll talk about that a little more in a while, but for now, let's move on to the other things we need. So unlike with regular acrylic paints, I recommend using a dry palette for metallic paints because metallic paints separate a lot more easily on a wet palette, and the tiny particles of metal make their way through the paper onto the sponge, causing issues with infecting other paints and ruining the sponge. So it's better to use a dry palette. So for me, I'm using this metal tray as my palette for metallics. Then of course, you need a cup of water for cleaning the brush. And lastly, you need a paintbrush. I'm using a Kolinsky brush, size 4. You can use smaller sizes of course if you're more comfortable with those. And also, some guys might recommend cheaper synthetic brushes in case it gets ruined by the metallic paint. But using metallic paints with sable bristles is fine. The thing you need to do, like with any paintbrush, is make sure you're cleaning and conditioning your brushes properly. Use a brush cleaner and conditioner consistently and you'll be fine. Just so you know, metallic paints can be more transparent, especially lighter metallic colors, compared to regular acrylic paints. So therefore, they often require multiple thin layers to achieve a solid and even metallic finish. As a general rule, you only really want to thin your metallic paints just enough so that they won't gum up your details because you need to maintain density of the pigment and metallic agent. And since we're using metallic paints meant for hand brushing, we only really need a small amount of water, like just wet your brush with water and you're good. Of course, be mindful of the amount of paint to use. You'll have to test what your correct ratio of water to paint is. You want it just wet enough where the flake easily flows off the brush and onto the model. Sometimes, thinning metallic paints with too much water can cause problems, like the paint not drying evenly. This is because metallics don't thin anything like regular paints do because they have a fundamentally different formulation. So to get the metallic effect, small metallic particles or flakes are put into the paint. It's similar to how pigment is added to a binder to create normal acrylics, but the metallic flakes tend to be much larger than the regular pigment particles, which is why you get that glitter effect when you thin them. You will find some brands or lines of paints have finer particles than others. Airbrush metallics tend to have finer particles so they don't clog up the airbrush, but they can still be painted on with a regular brush, just might take more layers. So as I've said, the basics of hand painting regular paints and metallic paints are similar. So that means starting with a small amount of paint on your brush. You can always add more later, but it's easier to fix mistakes with thinner layers. Hold your brush perpendicular to the surface and use short stroking motions to apply the paint. Don't scrub or push down too hard. I say this all the time, but apply thin coats of paint, let each layer dry completely before adding the next, because this gives you more control and avoid paint buildup in the crevices. So for me, the paint always dries pretty fast considering I live in a hot tropical country, but sometimes, especially in the rainy season, I like to use a hair dryer to speed up the drying process. So just so that I can add another layer and finish faster. So I don't really use a lot of metallic paints, even with airbrushing, because the only time I paint the inner frames in a metallic color is if it's a commission and they ask for it. But for my personal builds, I prefer just using dark gray for my inner frames. And so what I found out about metallic paints that are actually for hand painting is that you only really need 2 layers to get an even finish. Of course, you can do more, and the more layers you do, the shinier it gets due to the metallic flakes building up over one another. However, for airbrush ready metallic paints, you might need 3 to 4 layers since these are generally thinner and the metallic flakes are a lot smaller. And of course, experiment with different metallic colors as well. Mix and match silvers, chromes, coppers, and even golds to create a unique and personalized look for your inner frame. You can also put metallic accents on the armor pieces, not just the inner frame. For the dendrobium that I'm working on, instead of the usual gray and dark colored accents, I'm using mostly metallic paints. So moving on to the dendrobium's armor parts, I have to apply a black base color first before the metallics. This allows for a smoother, more reflective metallic color. If you base with matte paints, the metallic comes off dull or like an anodized finish. Also, if you're going for a worn look, you can use matte base coats or a satin base for a good in between. Using black as the base color prevents tinting the metallic one way or another. And then of course, after the black base coat, just proceed to applying the metallic paint like earlier. So because of the metallic flakes in the paint, metallic paints can show brush strokes more readily than regular acrylics. So if you're looking for a perfectly smooth finish, it can take more work with metallics. This is why it's so much better to do multiple thin coats, especially with metallic paints, just because of its different formulation. But when you get the hang of it, I think it gets pretty easier over time. So yeah, that's about it for today's video, a crash course in hand painting metallics for your Gunpla. Usually, it is a subtle change, but it really makes a big difference. The metallic paints catch the light and really make the inner frame pop. So yeah, thanks for watching. If you like this video, be sure to hit that like button and subscribe for more Gunpla tips and tricks. I'll see you soon in the next one. Bye!